Sometimes life takes us on a path we never expected, and yet it's exactly where we wanted to be. I've met many people in the senior care industry who came here through personal experiences, caring for a parent, watching a loved one struggle, or just feeling called to help. But my guest today took a leap that might surprise you. Tran's life could have stayed on the fast track of Silicon Valley success, MIT graduate, startup leader, deeply rooted in the world of tech innovation, but along the way, he realized something. Building the next app or scaling the next unicorn wasn't what filled him up anymore. What pulled at him instead was the desire to make a direct impact on people's lives, especially the seniors in his own community. That decision led him to open Assisting Hands Home Care in San Carlos, where he blends his sharp business and tech background with something you can't teach in a classroom: compassion. He's rethinking what in-home care can look like, bringing efficiency, innovation, and warmth into the homes of seniors and the hearts of their families. Today, we're going to talk about his journey, the moment he left tech for senior care, how his approach is different, and the lessons he's learned serving Bay Area families. Whether you're an adult child navigating care for a loved one, or just curious about how technology and humanity can work hand in hand, you're going to take away a lot from this conversation. I'm Dale Corpus, a senior transition specialist and real estate expert based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm a proud member of the Sandwich Generation. I created the show to make senior living conversations easier and to give families the clarity they need to make confident, informed choices. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast, where we help families navigate senior living, real estate, and everything in between. Hosted by Senior Transition Specialist Dale Corpus, this show brings you expert insights, real solutions, and stress-free strategies to make senior transitions simple. Ready to dive in? Let's go.
All right, and we're back, everybody. Tree, welcome to the show today. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you, Dale, for having me.
You're welcome. So I wanted to just jump into this. Tree, can you take us back to the moment you decided to leave tech and enter the senior care space?
You know, I've been in tech for so long, ever since I went to school and graduated. But I think a lot of it, like many others, are driven by personal experiences. What drove me to even look into this space, because I don't have any true healthcare or training or experience, was just after losing my dad to Parkinson's and losing my mother-in-law due to dementia and diabetes. It really got me into thinking about this space. This is 4 years ago.
Okay.
And my wife and I, we had great trouble finding amazing caregivers to help out my mom and also help out my father-in-law, right, to care for their respective spouses. And we didn't know where to go. We thought you just go to Craigslist and find some stranger. I mean, we ran out of options for family members. I'm sure most families, you see who in the family can help, but families can only help so much because everybody got work or lives to do. So yeah, I think a lot of what got me looking into this space in the first place was due to that personal experience. And then, kind of the rest is kind of history. Maybe we'll dive into more details, but a lot of it was stemming from that.
Okay. I know you went to MIT. Out of curiosity, just from my own knowledge, because I didn't go to MIT. What did you study there?
Yeah, no, I was really fortunate. I was an immigrant. I came here when I was 11 years old. I was one of the boat people. I left Vietnam. I was a refugee in Indonesia. I got here half of middle school and high school in San Jose. I lived with my aunt and uncle. My parents were stuck behind, by the way, so I actually didn't see them again until I was 22 years old.
Oh, wow.
But then, I got lucky, studied really hard, did well, and got into MIT. I studied electrical engineering and computer science. Basically, the most popular major at the school, basically.
The hardest major to get into at the same time.
And really competitive. But I worked hard. I came from a lowly public high school. So my first year was really catching up to my classmates and roommates because most of them came from boarding schools, private schools. I still remember walking out of the first day of lecture of my multivariable calculus class. And I was like, what was that? And then all my classmates was like, oh yeah, we've seen that in junior in high school. And I was like, WTF?
You were an underdog, yet you were able to still hang with everybody. I mean, I relate to you. I didn't go to MIT, but I was an electrical engineering major from Santa Clara University, and I'm good
Great
at taking
work.
tests, but I mean, it's hard. And here you are, you're now doing this home care franchise, and it's amazing. I have a question. How did your family or peers react when you made this career pivot?
You know, if I ever really care what other people think, then I guess this is how you would look at it.
Yeah.
For the most part, I don't. But basically, my mom, because of losing my dad and all that, she's been around so many seniors now. She was like, "Oh, that's a much needed service. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that you're doing that." Versus my prior startup, it took me a long time to even explain to her what the heck we did. But this one, she immediately understood, right? And then, of course, my network peers and whatnot, some of them are like, "What is going on? Why is Tree doing this?" Why others who have similar needs where their own parents or grandparents have trouble immediately gravitated towards the understanding and whatnot. But like I said, it's not so much what they have to think. I don't really care. Much more about what I think would pull me and make my life enjoyable and waking up every morning looking forward to doing this work.
I love that answer. Now, what surprised you the most about this industry once you got started?
So I'm sure your past podcast guests have mentioned, right? It's a really large growing population segment of seniors, 10,000 people turn 65 years old a day in this country. So that was a little surprising to me at first, but now that's like common knowledge. I think what is one of the things that I didn't really realize until now is that our caregivers may turn out to be closer to these seniors than even their own family members.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Their spouses, they maybe have baggage or resentment, you name it, right? I mean, there are so many issues. Family dynamics are really complex, and I don't blame them. And so, yeah, our caregivers start out as just a friend and just grew closer and closer to these clients to the point where they feel like this is my best friend and they can fully trust and share a lot of intimate details about their lives and whatnot, more so than their own children or spouse at times. It was odd. But yeah, I couldn't really get over that for a long time. I was like, wow, a stranger. Well, start out as a stranger, of course, became really lifelong, kind of like treated like a family member, even more so.
Yeah. So for your home care business, you ended up choosing the franchise model route and you chose to go with assisting hands. How does that model support your work?
Like I said before, I never had any experience in this healthcare industry. So I felt like if I were to do it from scratch on my own, I wouldn't really have a lot of support, which is fine. That was a potential path. But I felt like being in a community where I can learn from other owners, other people who have been there for a long time, the national office itself, brings great benefits. And it did allow me to start on day one, with a lot of templates on how to get things going. They have all the infrastructure in place. If I need to print some marketing materials or get my office going, all that. Even something as mundane as, designing a logo for your business, right? That's been done. You don't have to do that from scratch. It sounds trivial. Every little things add up. And before you know it, prevent you from focusing on what matters most, which is taking care of the seniors, hiring the right caregivers. I want to focus on that versus all the back office and a lot of these, mundane things that every business needs to get going from the beginning. So yeah, that's why I chose to go with a franchise model, and it's the right decision.
Cool. Now, so you're definitely a tech-minded agency owner. How does your MIT and tech startup background influence how you run your agency?
Maybe not so much of a big deal to me nowadays, but I've always been a fan of tracking data, tracking progress, tracking how we're doing. So become pretty obsessive at how many leads, we call them leads, potential clients coming in. How am I able to convince them that we are the right service for them? They call it conversion, right? And things like that. How many caregivers are we hiring a week, a month? How much does it cost us to, post jobs and get applicants? And then, of course, hiring them. And then, of course, helping them going through the system of registering themselves with the state of California, fingerprinted, the whole background check things that they, have to go through. So become really obsessive at tracking how we're doing from day to day, week to week, having dashboards, having reports, so that we keep a pulse on the business and know how things are going and what parameters we need to tweak, what variables we need to change, or what change happened that caused a certain effect, right? So very, very much an analytical kind of mindset that I think I, by default, bring to the table versus maybe someone who doesn't have that kind of mindset or that background.
Yeah. What role does data or software play in matching caregivers with clients?
The matching actually is one of the first challenges that we have here, right? And then, of course, changes following up on that. But for the very immediate first matching, it's not so hard because when we bring on a new caregiver, we absolutely have to ascertain what is their availability, what's their schedule, what cities are they willing to commute to and travel to. What is their experience like, right? Have they had care experience for someone with dementia or maybe have incontinence care, or maybe they only have to deal with, companion care. So we get a good sense on what the caregiver, each of them is capable of. And then we log all that very carefully into our tools. And then, as we bring on more clients who have specific needs, that's when the initial matching would come out. And that actually is not so hard. That initial match is not so hard. It's the subsequent changes that would always be a challenge for us. And we can talk about that more specifically.
Yeah, I know because of your engineering mindset, I know you're a good problem solver. So, what inefficiencies in the home care world frustrate you, and how are you solving for them?
Yeah, I mean, the inefficiency is kind of like inherent to being human,
Yeah.
which is people's lives changes. A caregiver, for example, is probably always, having something else happening in their lives. And so they're choosing to fill the available hours with work. And of course, they're trying to optimize that, right? They're trying to make sure, hey, is this an opportunity that is closest to me, reduce my commute, or maybe with a client that I enjoy being with, that I can feel impactful and helpful with, versus maybe someone where the chemistry isn't so great of a match. Maybe this senior doesn't really like me or whatever, right? That in many ways, Dale, is like a matchmaking service that we're doing, right? And so the caregivers themselves are trying to optimize that. The clients themselves are also having their preferences, right? Hey, I maybe want someone who is talkative, maybe not so talkative, and maybe does things a certain way, maybe prepare this dish the way I like, or the way they help me walk is, on the side that I prefer versus the other side. It could be something as mundane as that. And so, you got two parties that are trying to optimize for what they want. And so in the inefficiency comes is when, we have to kind of extract that from folks to do the best matching. Or as they prefer certain caregivers or certain clients, we want to understand, why did that happen? Why did you like that person? And so that takes a little bit of time to extract. Even they don't know at the get-go, right? And so you can call that inefficiency. I call that just being humans. It takes time to understand that. And then, once we do understand that, it does make things a little easier in the future. But not something you can get it right at the very beginning necessarily.
Yeah. A related question: what innovation do you hope to bring to assisting hands that the industry hasn't adopted yet?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, a lot of AI is getting into the space. We use a lot of AI in the back office, and more so with scheduling, the challenges that, we've been talking about here, and trying to get machineries, and I guess in that sense too, because it sees all the data all at once. Versus us human, we may forget things and whatnot. So trying to leverage AI to help with scheduling, matching, and really track things. At the same time, though, you have to keep feeding it data. it doesn't know, right? So you have to tell it, hey, this person prefer this, person prefer that. So what we're trying to do is looking into tools that would really help us understand and better match folks and deal with changes. Because like I mentioned before, the caregiver's life and schedule may change, and then the client's needs may change. They improve, they get better, they need different kind of care, or in some cases, they get worse and they need additional care. And so you got to accommodate that and make the right changes if necessary to accommodate.
Got it.
We don't use technology, or what you may have seen people do is have AI talk directly to clients. I am not a fan of that. Maybe A, because it's not that good yet.
Yeah.
Or B, I really don't ever want to be in a situation where a client or their adult children realize, wait a minute, this is a bot that I'm talking to.
Yeah.
When I'm making this a much more white glove, customized service, personalized service, where we are answering the phone live, there's no phone menu to go through, there's no bots to pretend that we are human.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of, if it's going to be a bot, just say so. Hey, this is an AI assistant helping you. But yeah, if we were to connect you with a human, it would be very transparent to you that that's would be happening, versus pretending as if this AI is a human, because I think that loses all sort of credibility.
Yeah, I get that. Now let's segue into serving Bay Area families as it relates to home care. What's unique about serving families here in the San Francisco Bay Area in your business?
You know, families and seniors' needs, typically seniors are client-based, right? That's probably true everywhere. But I think one amazing thing about the Bay Area is families have easy access to great healthcare. We got, next to my office here, Mills Peninsula, Southern Health, we got Standard, we got, up the wazoo, San Francisco, UCSF, and all the amazing healthcare resources. So I think the beautiful thing is they have amazing access to that. They are well cared for, well looked after. So from the medical perspective, they are pretty set. I'm really thrilled that they have that. And then our team just add the support to that, right? Even for our team to watch what a physical therapist may be doing with a client, and then, helping the client repeat those exercises is a huge benefit that I think the seniors are getting. So yeah, I think that's a pretty unique thing about the Bay Area versus potentially a lot of other places.
Now, what do families often misunderstand about hiring a private duty home care agency?
Some families thought it's kind of like Uber, like on demand. Oh, I wake up today, I need some help. Can I get someone for 30 minutes? I just need to get dressed. Who knows, maybe 8 hours today. And initially, for folks who are not familiar, they think it's on demand like that. And look, I think we are set up so that we can do that at times because we have on-call caregivers and whatnot. But if everybody wants that, then that's going to throw a lot of chaos into caregivers' lives and whatnot, because they all have a schedule they want to keep because it makes it predictable. They can do a great job versus, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing today. I'm going to be called in to do random things. So yeah, I think that was interesting to realize that some folks think of it like that. And then, of course, there are people who truly get that this is a service that is more on a recurring cadence.
Right. What questions should people ask that they usually forget when interviewing a care provider?
Well, I'm a stickler at this. The caregivers are either amazing or they don't work for me. And the way I look at it is this. Every caregiver candidate that we screen, we ask ourselves, my staffing manager, myself, we ask ourselves, is this someone I'm happy to send to my own parents' homes?
Yeah.
I don't tell that to the caregiver necessarily, but that's always in the back of my head.
Yeah.
So we do some amazing and serious screening for every caregiver. A family who's looking at a service provider should ask, how are you screening these caregivers?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you know they're any good? Obviously, if they've been working with you for a long time, that's a big plus. But that's not always the case. Sometimes we bring on a relatively new caregiver that we recently hired to put on with a client and match them up with a client. So yeah, how did we screen that caregiver? Well, for us, we only hire people who have done this for pay. All right, we don't hire newbies. This is not a training ground. I'm not set up for that yet. So I apologize for folks who want to get into this industry as a caregiver. They're not going to be able to come through at our agency, not at this time anyways. This requirement allow us to ask, so who did you used to work for or currently work for before you come to us? And boy, reference check is a huge thing that we do. In fact, one of the earliest steps that we do. Can I talk to your former, current supervisor? Can I talk to your current, former clients? Or God forbid, if the client has passed away, their family members, adult children, their spouse, whatever, the surviving folks.
Yeah.
And we really get into it. How was this? Was he or she reliable, consistent, caring, passionate? Why did they get into this? There's no amount of interviewing you can do.
Yeah.
Would necessarily reveal how well someone has worked over the course of years and months. And then, yeah, if we ever get a reference like this, oh, legally, I can only tell you that this caregiver worked from this date to this date, right? You get that a lot.
Yeah.
To me, that's a no hire.
Yeah. A red flag, maybe.
It's a red flag because, look, I know legally that's what you can do. That's what you said. But if you really cannot add a commentary about this person being amazing because you feel like I don't want to, or there's a reason you don't want to say it, whatever it is, I'd rather mishire. I'd rather have a false positive in a sense that I miss hiring a great person because I didn't get a great reference. So that allows us to make sure our team are filled with people who have gone through the gauntlet, so to speak, and making sure that we check their history and their work experience very carefully. It doesn't mean we got it right every single time, but boy, it greatly increased the chance of us doing so.
Yeah. And I want to dig a little bit deeper because I'm interested. Have you ever tracked how many caregivers you had to interview, screen before you actually hire one that you believe is good?
Yeah. Our hiring rate is actually very low. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, for example, in the last year alone, my hiring manager and I screened over 2,000 applicants, okay? Over 2,000 applicants. And we have hired 95 people.
Okay.
I know 95 is not a small number,
Right.
but from the percentage point of view, that's less than 5%.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're pretty strict. Having said that, right? I mean, yes, we're strict. But once you make it through and you're on our team, we pay you better than market rate. We support you. We give you a lot of bonuses when you are told by the family that you do a great job. We do a lot of things that we can talk about separately, to really support the caregivers because they are the folks who are on the front line. You're taking care of the seniors every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a yin and yang here. We take care of them really well because we expect a lot of them. But it's not easy to make it onto our team.
Yeah. I mean, in reality, the well-paid caregivers, they're happier. And the happier the caregiver, it translates to also the happy seniors that are being cared for.
Right. It always spiral upward from there versus the other way, spiral downward.
Yeah.
And unhappy clients and just trouble to deal with if someone is totally unhappy. It's just a lot more headaches to deal with. So I'd rather take the high road and make it work that way. I mean, honestly, I have to apply the same kind of barometer to clients. A few clients are exceptionally difficult, not because of their level of care needed, but they are really and picky, you can call it that, about whom can help them, or they're bordering on potentially harassing our caregiver. Well, I don't have to keep clients who are troublemakers, so to speak, to our caregivers. Right? If they are bordering on harassing our caregivers, then I would say our service is not for you, ma'am, or not for you, sir. And I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
And tell them that up front instead of potentially trying to string something along when it's not a fit.
Yeah, I get that. How do you build trust with clients who may be skeptical or overwhelmed?
Well, the overwhelming part is almost universal. And I am here just to be helpful, right? So it's not just me alone, but look, I'm part of community. I know a lot of resources, whether it's other medical services or even assisted living facilities and people who are good at placing seniors into those facilities. So if a family is looking for help, just in general, I can point them in the right directions. They don't have to use my service for me to be helpful. I can get them going in the right direction and just for them to know that they have another resource because it's so overwhelming. They may not know what to do right now. Hey, this is my dad or my mom's situation. I don't know what to do. Here are some thoughts. I've been in it for long enough that I've seen a lot of options and giving them that guidance as another input point, right? They don't have to take it if they don't want to, but giving them that. And then knowing that I tell them, look, as the owner, I'm directly accountable to their mom, their dad, to them. My name, my reputation is directly on the line. There's no other higher level of accountability than that. And I personally go meet every single client.
Okay.
So I have help from my team to do a lot of the back office stuff so that I have the time to go meet all the seniors. And that, putting a face to a name as the owner, meeting the seniors and their family, it does build trust. We have to earn it. It's a very tall order to earn someone's trust so that their own mom or dad into my caring hand is a tall order. I get it. I still remember, like my own parents. Like, how would we trust someone?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I always put myself in their shoes and know that it's a difficult time for them, that they have to trust us. And yeah, overcoming a lot of overwhelming, things that are happening around.
Okay. Let's talk about some real stories from your experiences and even lessons learned. Now, first question here is, can you share a client story that deeply impacted you?
Yeah, there are a lot of them, but I'll share one. It pains me to see this senior, this elderly woman, and she's just one of very many common cases where, her son reached out to me and he was like, yeah, mom is doing okay, but I'm starting to see signs of her needing some help.
Okay.
She may start to trip, have little minor slip and fall here and there, starting to be just a little bit forgetful or having a little bit of difficulty tracking her doctor's appointments and whatnot. Lives alone. The son lives 30 minutes away. And I feel this pain because the senior, as the elderly woman, she was like, I don't need any help. And I feel for her because she's 87 years old. She's independent all her life. And now saying, you need some help, ma'am. Or her own son saying, Mom, you need some help. She's taken aback by that. She's like, why? Perfectly capable. So I would clearly remember sitting in her living room with her and her son was keeping convincing Mom, you need a little help. And I obviously cannot push her when she's adamant about, I don't need any help. I was like, ma'am, no pressure, right? Look, we're here when you need it. So 2 weeks gone by and she fell. It's pipe. It's not a minor thing. She fell and was unconscious for, I think, 6 or 7 hours.
Oh, wow.
On the floor. She was doing something at her laundry, maybe reaching for something. She couldn't remember, right? People who got through this couldn't even remember how they fell. But she was unconscious for hours on end, woke up, crawled to her phone, called the neighbor, of course, her son and all that, but the neighbor's right next door, got ambulance over. And so she fractured her hip, went to the hospital, rehab, came home, and needed 24/7 care from us for a month on it. The pain was so bad, and the pain medication create a lot of havoc in her. She became dizzy and couldn't even live her daily lives. And so she was in a bad state. And yeah, I felt like maybe had she gotten some help from us, maybe she wouldn't have fallen.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? No one knows. I can't wind back the time and the clock to say what could have happened and whatever, but I feel for her. I wish more seniors maybe, realize getting a little help maybe can save them from a situation like that. I don't know. But it pains me to see it. And that story repeats over and over and over again.
Yeah. Now, how do you handle tough family dynamics when adult children disagree on care?
It's also another common scenario
Yeah.
where the adult children disagree. One may want to put mom or dad into a facility. The other one's like being home is more comfortable, easier on mom and dad. There's also finance. There's also other factors. There are so many factors. And I would be the first to, and I've done this many times, where I would actually do a conference call because a lot of times the adult children all don't live in the same place. So we would all get onto a video call together and I would answer every question I have from every member. Okay, hear them out, each one of them as much I can. And look, whatever they're willing to divulge to me, and you won't believe it, they would divulge things to me that they would never share with anybody else. Sometimes each of the siblings didn't even know that the other person was feeling this way or that way, or has some information that they have never heard of before, but they would share with me. Look, I try to give my input. And then at the end of the day, I would always have to ask, I'm sorry, guys, but look, those are all the information you have. And at some point, I do need a single decision maker. If we were going to work together, I'm sorry, I still need input from everyone. That's fine. We can have group chats. We could have, we have all sort of facilities and medium to help them communicate and share things with me on a continual basis. But at the end of the day, someone needs to make a final decision. Okay, mom needs this care, and we finally agreed, or maybe disagreed to agree to disagree, whatever. But this is what we need from you, because I can't paint everyone's a different concept, right? I mean, and this is true for every business, I'm sure. It's not just ours. But yeah, no, I want to help them. I want to listen to them. I want to hear their input and making sure they feel heard. Because otherwise, I think it creates a worse situation. The last thing we want to do is add more stress on the already very stressful situation on family. I want to give everyone a chance to hear them out and give my thoughts. But please then decide and have someone who would, represent mom or dad.
Nice. Now, what has caregiving taught you about leadership?
That's an interesting question, Dale. My philosophy for leadership may differ than some others. I'm the type who like to bring people up instead of eating how things should be done. I mean more on the former. I try to always think good for the people and feel like, hey, if they truly care, they will do the best thing.
Yeah.
If they don't do the right thing, is it because I haven't given them the right context? Or did I withhold some information from them? And that's why they did things that way. And it almost always turned out to be the case. If they didn't do things the way I expected to, it's because they were missing something, not because they were necessarily ignorant or bad or whatever, right? So I'm the fan of this, and this work has really put a nail in the coffin, so to speak, and me seeing that, yeah, leadership is all about supporting folks, not cracking the whip. Yeah, I can ask for things, and I do expect, that people are responsive to me. Just like if they are looking for communication from me, I expect myself to be communicative to them. So this is whether it's my office team or my caregivers, it doesn't matter. I want to be the one who support them and giving them the right context, allowing them to make the right decisions to best take care of the seniors. And so I feel like that's when everyone benefits. And yeah, having the experience running other businesses before, having enough sleep so you make the right decisions, and looking for things that are more long-term. Short-term fix, a Band-Aid, could stop the bleeding, but if it result in a terrible outcome down the road, then I'm not for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it comes down to being the anchor, the foundation, being the right support for our office team, for the caregivers, is the style that I like, that I think works really well. We have many caregivers who time and time again come to me and said, you guys are the best agency I've ever worked with, and I've worked with so many. And is it because we are somehow a saint or a silver bullet? I don't think it's like that. It's just we're really upfront with them. We're transparent with them. How we pay them is very transparent based on the primary level of care the seniors need to have. And therefore, we're very transparent with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it brings a lot of clarity to everyone.
Yeah.
Same with the clients. We will tell them, hey, there's a reason a caregiver didn't make it to your work, and we'll tell them exactly, not some makeup BS.
Yeah.
Oh, and if it's our fault, we miscommunicate something to the caregiver, it's our fault, and we would readily admit it instead of blaming it on or throwing someone under the bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so common in this industry to, let's say, blame traffic on something.
Yeah.
I would, look, a caregiver knows this too. Don't say that you're in traffic. I can pull up Google Maps.
Yeah.
There's traffic or not from where you're coming from. Don't say that. Just
Yeah.
tell me if you overslept. We're all humans. It happens.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure we'll do things to help you avoid that in the future. Those are some of the common things that teach me a lot about this space and get us going.
Yeah, I love the transparency of things, and that you even hold yourself accountable if if you made a mistake, right? And that says a lot about you. Now, what's the most rewarding part of your work today?
Yeah, this is common. Knowing that we'll make a difference in the seniors' lives. Actually, also knowing that we're making a difference in the caregivers' lives.
That's true too.
Sometimes people don't think about the caregivers. To me, it's all the parties. The caregiver themselves find this rewarding too. If they are matched with the right clients, with the right schedule for them, they have their lives, they have their families to take care of too. But if they feel this is rewarding work for them, they make a difference in that senior's lives. And even for clients who we help for a few weeks, few months, and then they pass away due to complication with their medical conditions, whatever, even for those cases, I felt like we made a difference in the final few weeks and months of their lives.
Yeah.
Even their own spouse, surviving spouse, and children come up to us and say, thank you for being there for us during those most difficult times. So yeah, that's fuel for us. I wake up every day, and I truly, truly know that our team wake up every day to do that. And the one telltale sign that that's not lip service,
Yeah.
and it's not some BS thing that you say, is now everywhere we go, we look around, we notice the seniors. It's like you can't help it. You're like, oh, this senior over here, total stranger to us. We're like, oh, I think we can help out seniors over there. Look, she's having trouble with holding the spoon. Or, oh, wow, we just had a little random conversation with her and she forgot what we told her in 20 seconds. Like this movie, Finding Nemo, I'm sure you know, where Dory just forgot everything 20 seconds ago. I thought that was only in movies until I witnessed this in real life. Something I just told this senior 20 seconds ago, multiple times over, and as soon as I said another sentence, she forgets. So yeah, we now notice a lot of people around our community who can use help and things like that. And so I know, and my staff telling me so, my caregivers telling me so, I know that's because we care. That's because it impacts us, not just because this is a job and sure. Yeah, that kind of thing. So I'm a believer in that and seeing that and knowing that that's when it works.
Okay. I want to segue a little bit into community and legacy. How are you building relationships with referral partners in senior living, healthcare, and real estate?
Yeah, I mentioned a little bit earlier, there are so many service providers when it comes to senior living. It's not just home care, obviously. Right. Beyond even medical care, there's, assisted living, senior living facility, boarding care, of course, skilled nursing, you name it out there. In addition to home care, I'm part of a San Mateo County Senior Roundtable. I try to get myself out there more often to network. And so knowing these are the partners I can count on, whether it's a client of ours or, like I said, a senior or family who's looking for help that I know I'm not the expert at, I know who to point to, I know who to refer to. And, they do the same vice versa. It's fine. They don't have to. I'm not looking for payback or whatever. I'm looking to just be helpful to these families. So I'm proud to be a part of that and knowing folks and be able to point people in the right direction. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. I try to get out there, visit a lot of these facilities as much as I can, but due to running the business and all that, I do it with limited time. But luckily, recently, I also hire another client service manager who can go out there and also do it day in and day out, represent me, represent the team. And look, again, take the high road at all times, trying to make sure we are a resource out there. He would bring, not just come and say hi to folks, but actually bring educational materials. Every week, every month, there's a new subject that we can bring to the table, so to speak, educate the staff at that facilities, educate the residents at that facilities. I come and I give talks.
Yeah.
The latest talk is like on digital scams.
Yeah.
How seniors are often a target. I know you had a segment on that too, Dale. So how to avoid that, or why are our seniors the target of that? How can they report it and things like that? We want to make sure we're part of this community. We're being helpful and networking and being a part of everything else around senior living. I think is a big part of it.
Yeah. Hey, what's your long-term vision for Assisting Hand San Carlos?
Nothing magical. We'll keep growing at a steady pace. I've been at startup where we're trying to go for hyper growth. I'm sure you've heard terms like that.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that because that result in lower quality of service. So be steady, make sure the quality of service is always the highest. Sure, we grow because that's a natural aspect of being around and people find out about us. There's a lot more word of mouth that goes around, and that's fantastic. I'm so thrilled about that. Just keep growing and making difference to more and more people's lives on a daily basis. I think it's simple as that.
How do you give back to the community beyond your business?
Yeah, I signed up to be giving talks at San Mateo Senior Centers. There's no pay, there's no clients there or anything like that per se. These are folks who are there for their day program and are curious about what's happening. I try and do that as much as I can, as schedule allow, but sometimes overschedule myself. I actually work every waking moment of my life, basically. I mean, yes, time spent with family as well, but otherwise, my children are older now. I don't have to babysit them or anything like that. That allows me to really do this pretty much every waking moment of my lives. I work way beyond business hours, if there's even such a thing. I don't even call it that. I'm trying to give back as much as I can. And I feel like that's another way to do that, to help out. I go to events and see if I can be a resource to help families.
Yeah, I can tell you're very passionate about this business, aren't you?
Yeah, I talk too much now, but I cannot stop. Right? I can go on and on about this all day long.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone thinking about starting a home care agency?
I thought about this a lot, and because people ask me, why did I get into this? And like you said earlier, I think a big part of it is making sure, what's your motivation?
Mm-hmm.
Is it making money? Yeah, I'm doing okay with that. But, you got to put food in the table. I get that. But what is your motivation on doing this? And so far, universally, everyone I know who have done this well in this industry are people who were personally impacted one way or another. And they have a real motivation.
Yeah.
They experience things themselves. There's a reason you don't see 20-year-old running these businesses. I think maybe that's having grandparents, for the most part, who might have gone through some things, is a little bit further removed.
Yeah.
A young individual. I still remember, I had my grandmother who had her own trouble. I didn't feel as connected to the situation at hand than when my own parents were going through things.
Yeah. Okay.
So I feel like, what is your motivation? Do you have one? And if you don't have one, are you sure this is something you want to get into? Because people see right through it.
Yeah.
You can't just lip service this. You can't just say, oh yeah, I really care. Well, why do you care? So anyways, I think that's hopefully makes it clear.
It does. And what do you say to families listening right now who are facing a senior care emergency?
I know it's hard. a lot of families take turn taking care of their own parents or even grandparents. Get a little help. You can't bring money with you once people pass away. You will look back and you're like me, God darn it. Could have gotten my mom and father-in-law some help, or that senior I just told you about.
Yeah.
Could have gotten some help. I know it's not cheap, but are you penny pinching to save your own family members from some real sanity?
Mm-hmm.
Things are overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Get some help. Be open for it. If you're open for it, there's so many people who can help. I know there are also mediocre out there, and you got to kind of pick and choose, but at least they're also trying. They're also helping. And that would save a lot of sanity and allows you to, when you do help your own parents and you do spend your time, you do a great job and not being so stressed out that it becomes a resentful. Yeah, I'm saddened to see whenever I see that, where the families are like, Mom, Dad, you are a burden to me. Maybe they don't say that out loud, but they say it to me, and that hurts.
Yeah. Now, as we come to a close on this episode, what tools or resources do you recommend for people trying to plan care at home?
I know there's no, like, maybe a section in the library where you can go to or whatnot.
Being so fragmented, I feel
Yeah,
like in the
it's so
industry,
fragmented. Like,
which is why I created this podcast.
yeah. Maybe they found your podcast, right? And there are resources out there. I know we have online partners like a Place for Mom and whatnot, where they write a lot of articles about senior living. And maybe it's a class that eventually get taught somewhere for all college students or something. I don't know. But until then, yeah, people need to seek out these resources. Like I said, either hopefully they run into one of these resources where you can read up and learn about what are the options for seniors. Yeah, until my own parent situation, I didn't even know. I thought when people grow old, you go to nursing homes. I thought that was it. And so many people are still thinking like that today. They didn't even know the other options. And so, yeah, I felt like education is always a thing. And maybe the younger folk can see, and maybe their own parents will tell them, hey, how did grandparents go through this? And maybe it get passed on more reliably over the future generations. But yeah, I think it's a very tough one. We're trying our best to educate folks. Like I said, we have materials we pass out, but boy, is it fragmented.
Yeah. Okay.
We need other more to do a better job. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, how can listeners connect with you or learn more about your services?
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. I mean, like, yeah, we are.
Oh, mention what areas you cover, by the way, in the Bay Area.
So, yeah, right now we cover pretty much the whole San Mateo County. As we grow, I'm sure we'll expand beyond there. But yeah, we look forward to seniors in the region. They can reach out to us, of course, phone call. They can text us. We're modern now, right? So they don't always have to call, email us and things like that. They can find us on any of the search engines. We thankfully have amazing reviews on whether it's Google and Yelp and whatnot. So yeah, they can reach out to us in any of those channels. And look, like I said before, I'm here to help. They don't have to use our service. If they're confused, we're one of the many resources out there. And I think my partners and friends out there who are other service providers would do the same.
Excellent. Now, Tree, thank you for opening up and sharing your incredible journey from MIT to in-home care and showing us how passion and purpose can lead to unexpected but deeply meaningful work. Your story is proof that innovation isn't just about technology. It's about finding better ways to care for people. And for those of you watching or listening, if your loved one is considering senior living and you need to figure out what to do with their home, let's talk, learn more about my services, and book a free consultation at www.simplifyseniortransitions.com. Have a quick question, DM me on Instagram at SoldByDale. And don't forget, the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all major platforms. If you found this interview helpful, please leave a 5-star review, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs it. Thanks for tuning in. One last thanks to Tree for being on this episode with me today.
Thank you very much, Dale.
You are very welcome. And for the rest of you, I'll see you all on the next episode of the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast.